All right, man. It's been a minute for everyone out there. It's been a minute. Got a couple things to cover on this episode, so appreciate the loyal following. Here we go. All right, y'all. What's up? What it do? What it do, everybody out there? It's been a minute, man. I haven't been. Oh man, I hate coming on here. Right? Let me just start off from the beginning. I hate coming on here and making excuses. I hate it, man. I hate coming on, having to make these excuses or say essentially the same stuff over and over again. It's been a minute. It's been this. We've been doing that. And I hate it. I really do. So for everyone out there who have followed me loyally, I am sorry. I owe you guys an apology. I am really trying to stick to this weekly roundup thing. It's been crazy. Life has taken over and I'm done making excuses. So for those of you guys out there listening, this is it. This is it. I'm committing to the weekly roundup and I'm committing to this podcast the right way because I got a good following. Everybody out there, man, you guys are amazing. You guys know what it is. Culture Punch Podcast, Facebook and Instagram, Twitter _culture_punch. You guys know where to find us. Apple Music. We are on TuneIn, Amazon Music. We are, what's that one called? The green one? Oh, yeah, everywhere. We are everywhere. Culture Punch Podcast. Just look for the question mark. That's me, baby. That's me. So appreciate everybody out there who has been following. I mean, drop a review, drop some kind of comment, and I'll give a shout out on that on this podcast. So if you want to hear your name out there, send me a DM. PM, whatever you guys want to call it, and just let me know you're listening. Let me know you're listening, and drop me a quick sentence of something or a phrase, and I'll drop it on this podcast for anyone who wants to be given a shout out. So, couple of interesting things. I am in the works right now to have some pretty, I would say, different guests we'll say, right? We have guests. I have been matched on this website where I'm speaking with other podcasters and aligning myself so we can do the damn thing together. It's cool, man. I've met some couple, not met, but I've initially made contact with a couple of cool cats, man. And I think that just based off of the episodes that I've heard and quick conversations that I've had with them, now, I still need to do follow-up. You're not just going to have some random people on this platform. I really do enjoy what I've built, the integrity of what I built. But at the same time, I don't censor nobody, right? Nobody gets censored on this podcast. You want to say something, I'm putting it out there, unless afterwards you say, look, we're not doing that, or I want to take that back, whatever. But I don't censor nobody. If you want to censor yourself, that's fine. My point is, I'm arranging these, you can say these interviews just to make sure that there's chemistry there and we can do this so it's entertaining for you out there listening, because it's all about you guys, man. I love talking and you guys love listening, so I appreciate that. And that's where we are. First thing I want to kick off with, very simple. Politics. Seems complicated, but where we are right now, I know that the virus, I should say, is kind of on its second or third or fourth or 14th wave, whatever you want to call it. I don't know how many waves this thing has had, but now they're calling it Delta. And when you start getting into some marine names, I think we got to worry. If we get into Zulu or Charlie, I'm telling you right now, everyone is, fill in the blank. But on a real note, I really do think that the government needs to leave us alone. I was reading this article that said that they want to do door-to-door vaccine or vaccination checks. Constitutionally, can you do that? And is it going to be like the census that came around? Right? Can I tell you, piss off, get off my property? Or are you going to keep coming and say, oh, the government sent me, so I need this, like the census? They did the same thing with the census. There was notes. We would come home, there was notes saying, sorry we missed you, we'll be back. And I'm telling you, they came like 4 or 5 times when we were not home. And finally they caught us. But they were persistent, man. They kept coming. And I feel like we're kind of on the same bounds there. It's going to happen the same way with this whole vaccination door-to-door thing, which is stupid. Whether you're vaccinated or not, that's your business. Right? And then Kamala Harris goes on to say that it's in the Bible. For those of you guys that didn't hear, she said it's in the Bible to get vaccinated. And when asked where, she said, in the Bible, it says, love thy neighbor, i.e., get vaccinated. I'm like, come on, man. You could literally apply that to anything. You don't know me. You know me? Huh? You know me? Come on. If I have a good immune system, I know a lot of people are getting pissed right now. They'd be like, oh, just get vaccinated, or why are you arguing for the non-vaccinated or whatever. I'm not disclosing whether I am or not because it's no one's business. No one's business. But yet politics keeps coming up, and I just got sidetracked there. My point is that I don't feel it's right that they can come and pretty much do this vaccine check. And the scary thing for you guys are not listening out there, I didn't even catch this. Alyssa was like, yo, did you hear this? Let me read this to you. And then she's like, this is how I took it. And I was like, whoa. Like, whoa. And what it said was Biden said, no, when they asked him about the pandemic and the problem the U.S. has with the pandemic, he said the U.S. doesn't have a problem with the pandemic. The only people who have a problem with the pandemic are the unvaccinated. So now you're talking about division again. For those of you who remember that have been following this podcast, my big thing was division. I was tired of it. I was tired of the nation being divided. I was tired of brother on brother going against each other for some stupid stuff. Talk about loving thy neighbor. We weren't doing that. And it just seems like it's getting worse. And I talked to a colleague of mine, and I told him, I said, yeah, you know what? I think what we need is a presidential change. Biden needs to come in. And I said, even if it's for 2-3 months where we're just solid, right? The nation is solid. We're happy. We're celebrating. As long as we can forget that we were at each other's throats. Even if it's peace for a couple of months, I think that's the start of the process of healing. Now, I didn't know that after that period of peace amongst our neighbors, that they were going to start segregating and kind of calling certain groups or communities or whatever out, like constantly, to the point where it's a conversation. I was having this talk with a colleague of mine, and we're saying, like, you remember, and Hobbs and I talked about this, but it was like, yo, politics when you were growing up wasn't a thing to discuss. But what me and my colleague were talking about is now it's like, imagine the vaccination conversation. There's days I feel like, oh, okay, it's appropriate. And there's days I feel like that's none of your damn business. And I'm leaning more on the side of it's none of your damn business. But people are quick to talk about, are you vaccinated? Are you not vaccinated? Or even just vaccinations. Do you remember being in school? Did you ever, and I think no statistical study that I've looked up, I have no grounds to say this is strictly an opinion, but I think based off of my life experience in high school, I wasn't going around to my friends and they weren't coming around to me asking me, yo, did you get the flu shot this year? That wasn't a conversation. But yet this vaccine thing is. And regardless if you're vaccinated, I was watching the Bucks when they won the title and they're talking about Deer Valley or whatever that little area is. Man, people were packed in there. I couldn't tell you how many, but they were packed in there. So it's not, you're opening things up. That is great, right? You're trying to scare people with this whole Delta Zulu Charlie virus that is the 17th wave or whatever. And it's moving on, man. You got to let that stuff move on. People are moving on. Let life continue. That's what happens. We didn't get hung up on the Zika. We didn't get hung up on AIDS. We didn't get hung up on, what was the other one that was from, man, I don't remember the other one. But like, we didn't get hung up on these. it was an issue, and then when they started finding cures, we move on. And you're just continuing to have fear in people to where people can't conversate with neighbors or hang out with neighbors. And I know it kind of sounds contradicting to what I just said about the Bucks hanging out all together, but the reason why I state that is because I'm saying vaccinated or not, you get a group of people like that, it's just like the cold. It's just like a flu. Someone's going to have it and someone's going to pass it on. But we're going to live on. Our bodies are going to be able to be all right, especially because the people who are doing those kind of activities, from what I've seen, are younger, possibly healthier individuals, definitely younger. So, the death rate there is not as high, and the death rates are going down, which is great. I think it's just among the unhealthy now, at least here in New Mexico, it is. So you got to stop trying to scare people with this whole pandemic thing and you got to stop segregating people with this whole thing. And we got to stop talking about politics, people. Let's stop. Just how many of you out there, answer this honestly. You don't have to tell me. You just answer this honestly. How many of you out there have actually lost or stopped communicating with certain friends, whether it be by your choice or theirs, because of this last presidential campaign? Think about that. Because as I talked to my cousin, if you were Republican or Trump supporter, you were a bigot, automatically labeled a bigot. Not true. You can believe in some values and disagree with others, but there's no gray area. It was literally like that. It was, if you're a Trump guy, you're a bigot. If you're a Biden guy, you're extreme liberal, you're extreme left. There was no there was no gray area. There was no wiggle room for anything else. That's how you were pretty much labeled. My experience from the things that I've watched, this is what I saw. Everyone was at ends with each other. We just need to stop that, man. All that segregation stuff needs to stop. And, there's things there's things that I heard also that kind of pissed me off that I'm going to get into. For those of you out there that are familiar, with everything that happened with George Floyd and Black Lives Matter and everything, there's this guy named, let me pull it up because I have it in my notes here, and I want you guys to actually know this name because this is ridiculous. His name is Travis Clay, or Clay Travis from Outkick. He has a podcast or a YouTube channel called Outkick. I'm sure he's on other places, but this is what made me mad. I stumbled upon this story because I was listening to the whole Rachel Nichols debacle, and I'm sure by now you guys are familiar with it. I'm going to give you a quick rundown if you're not. Rachel Nichols was caught last year at the NBA Finals in the bubble in Miami. She was caught saying a couple of things in regards to, oh man, what's that lady's name? Let's see. How did I already forget that dang name? Maria Taylor. And for those of you that don't know, Maria Taylor is a black woman. And so she was caught saying, you could take it however way you want, but she was saying something along the lines of the ESPN is giving her my spot because they have had a bad stance when it comes to people of color within the company of ESPN. And she's like, you're not going to find that here. If you're looking for whatever it is that you're looking for with trying to put a black person into this position, you're not going to pretty much kick me out in order to do that with Maria Taylor. I've worked too hard is pretty much what was said. A lot of people took it like white privilege. White privilege. She's like, okay, she's demanding this and that, blah, blah, blah. I watched on the Joe Budden podcast, and one of the guys on the podcast was like, yo, if I worked that hard, regardless of my race, I wouldn't want to give up my spot either. I agreed with that. Then Joe Budden said, white privilege because of this. I agreed with that too. So it was kind of hard, but anyway, that's the backstory with it. And that's how I came across this story, was with the whole Rachel Nichols and Maria Taylor story. And the things he said, man, just really, really kind of didn't sit well with me. wouldn't say pissed me off because I didn't lose any sleep over it, but it didn't sit well with me, man. Again, the media conglomerates like ESPN and stuff like that, still be racist towards, people that work for them. Anyway, let me see. Here's what he said. This is what he stated. He said the BLM people or BLM movement is pretty much controlled by the Democrats, and something big only happens prior to an election so the Democrats can side with BLM to win the election. I said, wait, what? So crazy racist things only occur because the Democrats make it or wish it into existence just to win an election. But not because racism still exists in our society or because we are in 2021 and we still have to have the discussion of what is appropriate and what isn't. And that's on a smaller scale. That's not even to mention how people are losing their lives and families are being ripped apart for the systematic racism within not only certain law enforcement officers, and listen what I said there, certain law enforcement officers, not law enforcement, because again, there's bad apples. I want to make that clear with my stance. Certain law enforcement officers, but also in a high number of workplaces. You want to talk about a big example? ESPN. ESPN has not treated the minority people that work there, more so the black people that work there, with the honor and respect and dignity and everything that they deserve. Underpaying them, giving them these kind of gigs, or putting others above them that have probably not worked as hard, or journalism isn't as on point. But that's any workplace. Any workplace has those issues. I'm just giving you ESPN as an example because it's the one that we just discussed. But why is it okay to have the argument and agree on the feminist movement of unfair practice in the workplace, but we can't have the same discussion or agreement when it comes to racial practice in the workplace? Is that a different way for you guys to look at it? Have you guys looked at it that way? I mean, when it comes to feminism and women saying things are unfair, and I'm not taking anything away from them, so don't twist my words, people. Don't sit here and tell me or try to say that I'm against what they're doing or trying to pull them back or whatever. No, I don't understand. But I'm on the other side of this. But I don't understand how male or female has anything to do with how much someone makes if they are equally. Let's say they have the same education, they've had the same experiences, everything. I don't understand how that can be difference in pay. But I've always said this, and I've stood by this, and this isn't something just because of this. This is what I've always said. As an individual, I've said it as a man, right? Because I've only had this discussion with men. But in this situation, I will say it like this. As an individual, you are a salesperson of yourself. You have to sell yourself. In whatever workplace you're in, a raise comes up, you go that extra mile, you show them what you're worth. So you, as an individual, negotiate what you believe you're worth. Too many times, and I'm just going to give an example, okay? Let's say you're making $12 an hour, and you believe that you deserve $15 an hour. It sucks to say you have to play the game, but you have to play the game. You don't say, I'm worth 15, because then you're going to get talked down, and you're going to somewhere settle on negotiations between that $12 and $15 mark. You're not going to be at $15 like you wanted. You tell them what you're worth. I am worth $22 an hour. And they say, are you kidding me? And I say, no, I am worth $22 an hour. Here's all the things that I do. So then that way to them, if $15 is your minimum, to them, oh my gosh, okay, I got them to $7 cheaper than what they were asking for. But you have to do these things. Again, you have to kind of play the game. But my point is, as an individual, you negotiate your own pretty much contract. If you're talking about an employment contract or your raise or everything, you'd look at everything as a contract. So you're negotiating everything based on what works for you, what is fair to you, what is fair to the company, what is fair to the individual owner, whatever you want to say. And you move forward. But too many times people get hung up on what other people make when they didn't properly negotiate. Now, if the only reason why was because of sexism, right? Because of because they're female, that's a different discussion. But again, you want to go in there with the negotiations of this, and that's another way, another weapon, another sword that you can add. If I'm making $15 an hour, and let's say Betty comes in and she's been here just as long, if not longer, she was at 12, and she's up for a raise. And let's say it was easy for me to get that 15. I didn't have to do that, go the route of 22, all that stuff. And she's asking for 15, they want to pay $14.50. That's a problem. That is a problem because it's unfair. That's where it lies. That's where it exists. That's where that sexism and unfair practice with females in the workplace exists. Same thing when it comes to minority. And I think it's because people at the top in corporations will look at a position and say, okay, this guy's going to be the face of fill in the blank. Oh man, but it's a woman and all our clients are men, old school men. Ew, how's that gonna translate? I don't think that's gonna translate well. No, you can't do that. If they deserve it, they deserve that chance. Unless, they deserve that chance. Oh, you know what? He's the face of fill in the blank. And man, we have a lot of people, and I'm going to pick on you guys right now just for stereotype reasons. Oh man, we have a lot of people from a lot of clients from the South, and yeah, he's a black fella. That's probably how they'd say it. Man, how are we gonna? No, that's racism. If he's qualified for it, let him do his job. Don't sit there and go. It's so stupid. It's so freaking stupid. It's dumb. I can't believe that we're in 2021 and it still exists. I really can't. But back to my point. Now, this is going to even upset you guys even more because I stumbled across this while I was doing some shopping, but I came across a book that initially I took the wrong way because I didn't properly read it. It was a quick speed read, and I was like, what? But the book is called The Anti-Racist Baby, the baby book. And it's sad, people. Okay, I'm going to tell you what it says, and then I'm going to tell you what I initially thought. But it's sad. Real quick, let me give you my thoughts. It's sad that we've gotten to a point where you have to use a tool like a children's book to teach people how to parent, or just people how to view society and live and move forward. It really is, man. It's so freaking insane. But I'm going to go over this with you now. It was something quick. I believe I have it here. And you're going to have to bear with me, but it's called The Anti-Racist Baby. And like I said, and it starts off with this. Anti-racist baby is bred, not born. Anti-racist baby is raised to make Anti-racist baby is raised to make society transform. Babies, what does that say? Babies are taught to be racist or anti-racist. There's no neutrality. Oops. Oh man, sorry. I changed it. It's a little video. Okay, there you go. Babies are taught to be racist or anti-racist. There's no neutrality. Take these 9 steps to make equality a reality. Step 1, open your eyes to all skin colors. Anti-racist baby learns all the skin colors, not because race is true. If you claim to be colorblinded, you deny what's right in front of you. I'll read that again. Anti-racist baby learns all the colors, not because race is true. If you claim to be colorblind, you deny what is right in front of you. And I'll give you my thoughts on what I initially thought once I'm finished with this book, okay? Step 2, use your words to talk about race. No one will see racism if we only stay silent. If we don't name racism, it won't stop being so violent. Here we go. Point at policies as the problem, not people. I like that one. Some people get more while others get less because policies don't always grant equal access. We just talked about that. 4, shout. There's nothing wrong with the people. Even though all races are not treated the same, we are human, anti-racists can proclaim. 5, celebrate all our differences. Anti-racist baby doesn't see certain groups as better or worse. Anti-racist baby loves a world that's truly diverse. Sorry if I'm reading it like a children's book. It's a children's book, so it's out of habit. 6, knock down the stacks of cultural blocks. Anti-racist baby appreciates how groups speak, dance, and create as they choose. Anti-racist baby welcomes all groups, voicing their unique views. 7, confess when being racist. Nothing disrupts racism more than when we confess the racist ideas that are sometimes expressed. 8, grow to be an anti-racist. Anti-racist baby is always learning, changing, and growing. Anti-racist baby stays curious about all people and isn't all-knowing. Number 9, believe we shall overcome racism. Anti-racist baby is filled with the power to transcend, my friend, and doesn't judge a book by its cover, but reads until ... the end. So when I initially read this, it was a speed read. And what I thought it was saying is, that we are, as babies, we're taught to be racist. And I was like, what? Like, how are they putting this out in the world that they're teaching us, oh, as babies, we're being racist and we're being bred to be racist and all this and that. And I don't know how I got that, but initially I was like, what? And I was so like, how is this even a book? I couldn't believe it. So I was going to do a podcast on this for the wrong reasons. And then I actually bought it and read it. And I said, oh, okay, this makes sense. And it's true. Like, if we teach our kids, our children growing up, that there's a problem, how do you change a problem that's been a societal issue for so many years and so long? You have to instill it in your children as they grow up. So don't instill them with racism. And I see it all the time, right? I see it all the time, like on Instagram, on quick little views and stuff. Like in the Black community, you'll hear that a dad will say something about a white guy or something, identify him by their color and what he is, male, female. So you hear a little kid. I've seen little kids, 5-6-year-olds on these videos on Instagram. They're like, look at that white boy, like in a derogatory way, like, oh, shut your mouth, white boy. It's like, I get it, right? But that's where the issue lies. And that's one example. There's plenty of examples where they have white people that say, oh, look at that black child over there. Look at that freaking colored person over there or something. I imagine that they say colored. That's my imagination of it, right? If you got those country club people that just sit in that thick of racism, that's how I envision them being. I could be wrong, but that's just how I envision them being. But yeah, man, I mean, you really got to instill them as children. So talk about it. Tell them there's a problem. It's okay to see him, but there was an example that came up with, it was a soccer game where it was a referee and an assistant coach on the sideline, and he was like that black assistant coach over there. And one of the players heard it and he got pissed. He's like, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do that. And they were going back and forth. I think they walked off the field. The whole team did, which is great, right? Because they came together for a cause, and it was it might have been not like on the same level as George Floyd, but it was still on the level of racism, and all racism to them was equal. And they say, you know what, we're going to stand by you and not allow this to continue. So we're all going to leave the field. I thought that was cool. And in the comments, he said, you wouldn't identify that white assistant as the white assistant coach or manager, but yet you feel the need to say the black one. And those little things right there, those little details are where that racism exists. So I think it was like 7 and 8. It's like, admit when you're being racist, because that's the only way we can really, even if it's shame, if we're saying it and we're admitting it, we know that there's a problem there. We're admitting to ourselves that shouldn't have been said that way. And it's a learning curve for us to move forward. So I thought that was really neat that they did that. So yeah, teach the kids that there are many colors and there's unfair within the communities, and teaching them about that is not wrong. People are going to judge you, but it's not wrong. And that might be where the problem solving begins. We want to raise our kids to be living in a world that's not racist. And for those of you out there, because there's a lot of people with the stupid cancel culture. I am a minority, so I don't need you guys to come at me in a certain way to think that I'm shooting things, out of my fill in the blank. But it's not the thing, right? It's for me. For me, I've grown up with this, and I'm just tired of it. So I think I'm going to go the route of teaching my son that there is certain communities and colors of people that get treated differently because of those colors. And that's not fair. We're not doing that. We're not going to do that because I don't like that. Too many times I see it. I see it all the time. I saw it a couple of weeks ago, man. It's insane how even when people get angry, right over here in New Mexico, you have like a big Chicano community, and there was a comment that was told to me that was said that was like, "What are you looking at, white boy?" And it's like, you see what I'm saying? Those little things. That's a shot at the race to demean them or to belittle them, because in that instant, that quote unquote white boy was the minority. And that's what they do. That's what people do. Not Chicanos that's what people do. They sit on those. And racism goes both ways. White people, black people, Mexicans, Asians, everybody can be racist. I'm not talking about stereotypes, right? I'm not talking about those little things. I'm talking about actual racism. So it exists, and we just need to, call it out. Call it out, be better, do better, teach our kids to be better. Even if we have bad habits, teach our kids the opposite. Teach our kids to not have those habits. But you got to be honest with yourself. And we got to get rid of this racism. So that anti-racist baby, I think, is a really good idea. And it's a cool little children's book. I don't know why I keep saying child's book. Children's book to kind of show that. So I think that's pretty freaking neat. So if anyone, I mean, I read it to you. You can obviously replay it, read it yourself, write it down, however you want to do it, if you want it. But I would definitely, to whoever the maker is of that, I don't know, I don't have it in front of me anymore. You should buy it, support the cause. But that was a long thing. But going back to that Clay Taylor, that is ludicrous to me. To say that the Democrats only control the BLM people, and the way he said it, BLM people, like, gosh, just the way he said it sounded so demeaning, like he is talking down. I couldn't stand that. That really rubbed me the wrong way. But just to say like, oh, BLM, things only happen to black people or in the black community when an election is coming up. Like, are you kidding me? So why is it that people in the black community believe that they've been mistreated and this has existed since going all the way back to slavery? And not, oh, you know what? It does happen every 4 years. It's so stupid. And people, and I was watching this guy and really kind of just seeing what he was about. Definitely conservative, right wing, but he doesn't care. And he's like, try to cancel me. Like, he's so arrogant too. And I just can't stand this guy. I didn't realize that there was people out there like that Tucker guy, Tucker Carlson. I don't, him on the news too. There's, if you're talking sports, I want you to deliver the sports, non-biased. I don't need to hear your political views. Going back to it, man. We're talking about coverage of sports. We're talking about coverage of news, but yet you have to throw your twist and let me know which way you side. You can't give me a non-biased presentation of sports, of news, and I can't stand that, man. Hobbs said it too. He's like, I don't even watch that anymore because they are so opinionated with their politics, and it's like, that's true. And then my cousin said, give me the information. Let me take it how I want. Don't give it to me the way you hear it or the way you want to deliver it. No, give it to me factually and let me take it for what it is. And that's where we are. We're there. That's the point where we are. And that's my point, is when did we get to the point where we're just talking about politics all the time? I'm at the coffee shop and I hear people talking about politics. And I'm talking about the whole time, 20, 30-minute conversation about politics. And let me clarify. When I say politics, I do mean politics, but I don't mean like, oh, we're talking about, what's going on in Israel with the Palestinians and the Jewish people. I'm not talking about, what's going on in Russia or what's going on in China. No, I'm talking about they key in on one subject One thing, and boom, they're talking about it. For 20, 30 minutes, just one thing from either, some of it's still from Trump when he's not here. So can we get that old musk off of us, right? Do we still smell? Is that still in our pheromones right now? Is that why we're still talking about it? Can we just get that old musk off? Even if you don't like the new cologne? You know what I'm saying? But it's just ridiculous how that's such a hot topic of conversation and the big thing. There's so many things going on. So many things. Polar ice caps are melting. Look that up. It's crazy what they're predicting. Shout out to my cousin Ray. He's telling me that 10 years are predicting that the coasts are going to separate. Florida and California separate because of polar ice caps. These are things that aren't being reported. And these are things that don't necessarily have to do with politics. You could look at politics for what they're doing about it or the views or things like that. But my point is there's so many other things going on for people to just zone in on that. And what happened to just being able to have a conversation with somebody? Are we that dull of people now? Are we just mind zombies because we have so many electronics just like our kids do that we don't know how to be personable with someone else? We don't know how to carry on a normal conversation without talking about sports, the weather, or politics? For real? When's the last time you asked somebody that you consider a friend how their family's doing? Legit though, not like, oh, how's your family doing? Good. Oh, good. And then move. No. Like legit, like, yo, man, your boy just graduated kindergarten. Like, what was that like? His first summer. Like, is he still with friends? How's that going? Like, was he on a pre-K program and now he's going to an elementary school? Or how's that working? What is he into now? I remember he's like this, like genuine conversations with people. Are we doing it? I don't think we are. Again, sports, politics, and weather. Those are the things that people talk about. Love thy neighbor. The only way we're going to love thy neighbor is get to know thy neighbor. Crazy, man. Oh, man. All right. I think that's going to wrap this one up. I think that was a successful podcast. What do you guys think? Oh, man. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Oh, we're still going. Oh, man. I love you guys. Thank you. We're still going, people. Yep. Yes, we are. All right. That's enough. That's kind of cheesy. Culture Punch Podcast. That's Facebook and Facebook and Instagram. Culture_punch for Twitter. Go give us a like. Go give us some feedback. And make sure you guys give us a review on Apple Podcasts, on Google Podcasts, Amazon, Pandora, iHeartRadio. I'm everywhere, man. Like I said, go check us out. If you guys haven't yet passed this on to some friends, please do so. That'd be greatly appreciated. But again, this is all for fun, man. I enjoy doing this. We're getting sponsors because of you guys, so I appreciate it. I didn't reach out to any sponsors for sponsorships this time around. I just wanted to do the damn thing, right? As always, you guys can check the show notes because I do have an affiliate link there to Instacart. For those of you people who weren't using Instacart during the pandemic, man, come on now. You're starting to see the commercials. You should know that it's a trusted place, but it's grocery delivery. Go check that out. I think the link gives you up to your over $35 your first purchase, like free. They don't charge you for the delivery fee. But go check that out. The affiliate link will be down below. It doesn't do much for the podcast, right? But it's just a way to say, you know what, thank you. I'm using this and I'm going to go ahead and go through your link. So go check that out. But again, this is for fun, man. Give me some feedback. I love the topics and hopefully we'll have some interesting guests on here pretty soon. So we'll see how that goes. And we are out.